And it
because
didn't make
he
sense.
just
He was so mad talking about, oh, you the Atlanteans are keeping the plutonium. John, you in the military. You a cop for space. You know exactly how this works. We're not just
he's
giving
not a
this
cop.
stuff
He's
that
a
came.
firefighter. He's a Jedi. And he's a Marine. You're supposed to be doing the right thing. Of course, he goes down and checks the ship for the plutonium. It's gone.
That was Arthur's
Who's
fault.
stealing? But at the Atlanteans, exactly. The king one. Why doesn't he have his people under
Why
control?
do y'all even have nuclear weapons?
That's not his word.
Like, what are you talking about? Like.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Another Relaunch. I am Johnny Storm, Human Torch.
Oh, I am Lorena Marquez, aka Aqua Girl.
Oh, okay, yes, a throwback.
Like, I was doing some rereading. I'm gonna talk about it later, but that's my girl. I miss her.
Yeah, we are going to be talking about the Aqua Corner later. That's for sure. How are you?
I'm doing well. It is like scorching hot outside, so I'm avoiding the weather completely. It's like 90, but we get a lot of humidity, so yeah, it feels like and it's nasty. And so I was like, let's turn the air on.
It's
How
like
are you?
70 degrees out here, and
is it still cloudy?
I wish it was a little warmer. Yeah, it's been cloudy too.
I don't know. That's global warming. So my birthday is next week, and I have been thinking about. This is gonna sound weird. I've been thinking about death, but not in a way that like.
Oh.
Not in a way of like I'm dying, but like in a way of life and like everything that's come before us, and just like a little bit of an existential crisis, if you will.
This is like the plot of Barbie.
Yeah, and then I was watching this documentary on Netflix. It's called Kunk of the Earth. It's just talking about like history and all the things that we've gone through. And I got to like cavemen and dinosaurs and all that stuff. And I was like, yo, it was crazy that people really used to be cavemen, just grunting at each other.
Yeah.
Like that's insane to me. And I just had like a moment with that, and it just started taking me back. And I was just like, wow. I was like, what are the people in like 700 years going to be doing? Are they gonna think we're cavemen? I mean, we kind of are.
I mean, yes.
That's crazy.
Absolutely.
They're gonna look at us. They're gonna find like the paintings and our history. They're gonna find like a CD and be like, "What is this?"
People do that now. Have you seen a kid try to like use a record player or like anything from the 90s?
And that's crazy because that isn't that old where you should be acting. Whatever.
The reaction videos are kind of funny. I've seen some of those where the kids are trying to use like a tape player. They never seen any of that before, or like a floppy disk.
You know what I never got to have? A beeper.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you want one?
I did. Like so bad. I wanted one so bad. Like you cannot tell me that they were not the hottest thing in the world. I wanted a beeper so bad. My mother did not give me. I was so upset.
You should get one now. I bet they probably still work.
I honestly, and the crazy thing is, I honestly can't even like tell you how a beeper worked. Like I don't remember anything about it, but I just remember I wanted one, and I was always too young. And then by the time I really got like old enough to have that type of stuff, nobody had beepers anymore. Beepers honestly was dying out by the time I wanted one.
Yes, beepers were not around like that for us. I feel like a beeper is used like it was like pre-texting.
Yeah, I wanted one so bad. I was like, I want a beeper. I just knew I was gonna have a beeper. I was younger. I used to always say, I was like, I'm gonna be 18. I was gonna get an expedition truck. That was my like dream car.
Oh my god!
I was an expedition, and I was gonna have my beeper, and I was just gonna be like driving around the city.
Neither of those things exist anymore.
Neither of them.
Wow. I really wanted a two-way pager when I was younger. Like I really wanted a two-way so badly. I never got one, but I did get a sidekick, and that was
the sidekick was
the thing.
An absolute moment. I'll never get. So I didn't have a cell phone for the very long time, and I was using one of my friend's phones to like call home one day from school on the bus. And so one of my friends was like, "Hey, why don't you got a cell phone yet?" And so I'm like on the phone cussing. I'm like, "Cause my mother says she won't give me an effing phone." And I'm like,
"Oh."
My aunt like picked up the phone and she was just listening to me. And all I hear is, "Why are you cussing like that?" And I was like, "What?"
Terrible.
Then I finally got my sidekick and everything was good. I was like, okay. And then I got like, oh my gosh, did you have a razor?
I did, yes. I did. That was hot. That was hot.
That was hot.
That was hot. Flip. Yeah.
Flip when you can hang up on somebody with the flip. That was the good thing back in the day. It was just like, I miss that. iPhone.
T9 texting. Whoa.
We've come so far. And like we used to be cavemen. And that's what I've been thinking about.
And there we are, bringing it full circle. All right, y'all. Well, let's go ahead and get into the updates of the week. Some interesting developments have come out recently. I guess we can kind of talk about. Sydney Sweeney has confirmed that she will be Julia Carpenter in the Madam Web movie. Dakota Johnson will be playing Cassandra Web, a paralyzed mutant whose clairvoyant abilities allow her to see into the spider world. So they're going to be like working together, being spider characters together. Are you a big fan of the Julia Carpenter version of Spider-Woman?
Yes, I love Julia Carpenter. She's actually my favorite Spider-Woman. Her and Jessica her and Jessica kind of like trade spots every now and again. The thing about Julia, she doesn't get used very often. Obviously, Jessica Drew is like the Spider-Woman that a lot of people know, but like I loved Julia back from like those ForceWorks days. I'll never forget during the Civil War when they were doing registration, Carol and Wonder Man came to arrest her, and like she hit Carol with a car. That was hot. I love she showed up in this one Spider-Man arc. I think it was the Craven Hunt, where him and his family were like hunting all the spider people and killing them. I heard that she was really cool in that. I think
she was Madam Web at that point, right?
Well, so that's what changed her into Madam Web. Yeah. And so like I wasn't actually like here for the whole Madam Web thing in the beginning. I was kind of like, this is weird, but I think it's just because it was so different. But I really came to grow to love it, and I think the whole like future spider, she has psionic webbing. So it's like she's had like this kind of thing going with her. The costume, her Arachne costume, is like hot. Like absolutely hot. One of the best things I've ever seen. One of the best costumes. I'll never forget when they gave it to that Anya girl. I was like, don't do that again. But
I liked it. Oh, I guess I didn't realize that I only liked it because I liked that costume.
Exactly. She had her, and like no shade to her. Like I like Arana, but she had her own identity. She wasn't Spider Girl. She was, Arana. Like lean into that. That was hot. Don't give her my girl's costume. Give it back to her.
I have to say that Julia Carpenter is my Spider-Woman. Sorry, Jessica. That's just how it is for me. So like, y'all know I started reading comics like when I was a kid, and I started with a bunch of these like volumes that my dad had given me, a lot of the stuff from the X-Men during the like great giant size era. That's where all these volumes for me started. But then also I had Secret Wars, and I read that like religiously when I was a kid, so many times, over and over and over again. And that's where Julia Carpenter was introduced, because she was from like this other universe, I think of Denver, from that patchwork world in Secret Wars. And I thought instantly cool. I liked her psionic webbing. And then later she joined Avengers, West Coast Avengers. So she was over there with the Wonder Man and all that kind of stuff. She was cool. But then I do remember when they kind of made her Madam Web, I felt like at the time it was because she there was already so many spider characters, and she really needed some kind of lane for her to have that was different than everybody else. Like they had Jessica Drew, they were at the time also trying to introduce Aranya, so like she needed something.
I don't think I thought about it that hard. I was just like, oh damn, I gotta. But it was like worth it because it had Julia in it, and I remember Michael Lark was doing the art, and I really enjoyed his art at the time. And so I was like, I just remember thinking like, oh, this is weird. So she blind now, and
I guess I didn't realize that you had never really been in the Spider Corner. I was already like a big Spider-Man fan.
yeah, no, I didn't know about that. I was just like, oh, this is different. But
she's like the center of it all.
Yeah, but like, and that was the thing I came to like really appreciate. But I was like, oh, she kind of like running this, and she was like, she had her like fighting skills and stuff like that. She was still with her daughter and like being her mom. I actually think she kind of like ended up getting her sight back at some point in time for a little bit, and they've been working, and it'd be cool. Like she'll be talking to her daughter.
That's
like,
because the blinding was unnecessary. Like they only made her blind because the old Madam Web was also blind. So like.
So it was cool. I would like her in her madness to get a different suit though. I think like the red trench and stuff is cool, but I think I would like to see her do something a little bit more different. There's actually, I believe, an animated version of her that has her original Arachne costume, but it's red instead of black.
Oh yeah, I do like that for her.
And so like I think something like that would be cool because she's been getting back out into the field a little bit more from what I hear. I'm reading Spider-Man.
So it's interesting that Sydney Sweeney will be playing this Julia Carpenter character because they gave the abilities to this other Cassandra Web character who is, or maybe not. Maybe Julia is going to be the follow-up because Dakota Johnson is playing Cassandra Web, who has the like clairvoyant powers in this movie, and Julia Carpenter will just probably be Spider-Woman. So maybe this is about how she will, take over the mantle of whatever Cassandra is.
How I feel about this movie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not a huge Dakota Johnson fan. I do like Sydney Sweeney and I do like the other two girls. It feels like a girls movie, which is like right up my alley. But I don't know. I don't know if it's Sony, if it's probably just Sony.
I think it's Sony, and I'm not sure how. I mean, I did see Across the Spider-Verse and Into the Spider-Verse is perfect. So like. The animated stuff isn't bad, but and I know it's controversial with some of the fans, but I like the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, but those are also done in conjunction with the MCU. This Madam Web movie is just Sony, so I don't know. And when they are on their own, that's how we get Venom.
They also need to bring back the Silver and Black movie with Silver Sable and
Black Cat.
Yeah, Black Cat. That Gina was gonna do. That was gonna be high.
Well, we're not sure. Sony's they've got a lot of things they got to work out over.
I'm just
saying. They got the Craven movie coming too.
That white boy, people like him. He's hot, but Silver and Black, that's what we need.
Yeah, they need to do a little bit of restructuring over there. But again, I think it's wild that Spider-Man is so goated that if you could make an entire universe off of just his characters. So they just need to figure out how to properly.
They're gonna try.
They're gonna keep trying. He's got the material. Also, we've learned that Jeff Loveness will no longer be writing the Avengers Kang Dynasty movie, and this decision was made before the recent strike happened. And it seems like, Marvel's kind of going in a different direction from Jeff Loveness. He was the one who wrote the Doctor Strange sequel, and he was going to be doing the follow-up to with Kang Dynasty. So I'm sorry, did he write Quantumania? I mean, I get the line on him, child.
I mean, either one of those.
Okay, take that back. It was not the Doctor Strange sequel. It was Quantumania, and he was going to do Kang Dynasty.
Ooh.
I personally think it's for the best that Marvel is deciding to move on from him. No offense to him and his writing skills. Clearly, you write movies. I'm not. So, but I do think that it's probably best for them to shift into a different direction. I think, again, the strike right now is giving them a chance to kind of rework some things as they make these proper negotiations to kind of pay the writers. I mean, for example, do we even really need a Kang Dynasty?
I mean, we might not even need a Kang at this point.
So they they might need to just go ahead and figure out how they're even going to restructure their universe first before they bring someone in to kind of write this bigger movie. So let them take some time to figure it out from there.
Agreed.
There were some Echo rumors. Again, I know that people were kind of interested in seeing this show, but from what I'm hearing, there were extensive reshoots for it. They had to reshoot like the entire thing after they submitted everything and had it reviewed because it just was not very interesting, I guess. Originally there were 8 episodes, and after having it reviewed, allegedly they got cut down to 6. They were really only going to make it 4, but I guess the showrunner was able to kind of fight back for 6 episodes. Again, this show will follow Echo as she is kind of discovering these new abilities that she has back in her hometown. I feel like a show like Echo, I'm just going to say it, I don't think everybody needs a solo show. I think Echo would have been great in a Defenders or something like that.
I think Echo would have been fine showing up in Daredevil as a supporting character, as she is. And I understand like the feel of like, but I mean, I think that's been an MCU problem in general. They are overpacking the deck and giving everybody everything. Like we're getting Coven of Chaos too. I don't think that was something that was necessarily needed, but it's here, and it's just interesting. Like the projects that are getting moved forward with like super quick, and those that we've heard about and have kind of disappeared. Like remember when they talked about doing the Midnight Angel show for the Girls of Wakanda, and I think that's something that you can actually make an 8-series show about, as opposed to like hopefully not this Echo story of seemingly following her getting like Phoenix-like abilities.
Some kind of powers that they give her, probably clairvoyancy or some kind of ability, her kind of discovering how to use those back in her.
The MCU is going to give you what you want, and then they're going to take it away.
Yep, it's what they're good at. All right, y'all. Well, then that is all the updates we kind of had this week. Let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come right back. Oh, that is funny.
That's crazy. And this is so crazy when you think about Hope and Messiah Complex, how much I actually love that story, but how much it was so bad. One of my favorite characters, it was the downfall, but it was also such a good story.
It was a fun story. I personally prefer Second Coming over Messiah Complex, but it was a fun story. Man, I remember it back in the day thinking,
a lot of my faves got hit during that, because that's when Nightcrawler died, Second Coming.
He did, yeah. That was epic.
It was good.
We need more of that.
Maybe one day. Well, all right, guys. Welcome back to another week, another pool of comics. A couple of quick shots for the week. The DC Pride special came out. And I think the DC Pride specials are always like really fun and really good. I think they do a good job at cementing whatever letter of the LGBTQ that the character claims, and it also puts them in situations where you feel like it's going to be picked up on later on, like it's a part of their story. Like we just happen to mention that they are Ace or Arrow or whatever, let's say like that, but this is actually what's going on, and I've always appreciated about them. Some really good ones went,
and they give them like real missions and stuff for them to actually do.
Connor and Tim Drake were in there talking to each other. That friendship's kind of being reinstated. Dreamer got one. They introduced a couple of new characters. There were some great pinups all throughout. Pick it up. It was amazing. Barbarella, the Sinner That Cannot Hold, number 4 came out this week. I'm always going to shout out to the girls to that, like Barbarella. I tweeted about the book as well, and some people were like, oh, I didn't know they made Barbarella comics. I love that movie. I was like, yeah, get into it. Here we go. That's what I'm talking about. Captain America, Symbol of Truth, number 13 came out. That's the next part of the Cold War event. And so I don't know if you remember earlier, I had told you that when it was starting, Sam and Steve were kind of operating on kid gloves so they wouldn't get into a fight. This issue, they got into the fight.
I knew it was happening.
It was the big thing for them. So that was really fun to see. Captain America books are coming to an end. The Cold War event's going to end soon. Then they're going to have the big 750th issue special that's going to feature like all of the current writers, and then a new Steve Captain America series is going to be picked up. I'm not going to get into that right now because it's going to make me mad. But
always taking it back, child.
Always taking
undefeated.
And then also Spider-Man Dark Genesis #5 came out. That was the end. Spider-Man 2099 Dark Genesis #5 came out, and that was the ending of this mini that Miguel has. Steve Orlando's been writing these books. I actually really kind of like the stuff that he's been doing in the 2099 universe, but the art on each series has kind of been like not the best, and so I feel like that's what's been hindering me and like taking it down. But some good reads, quick shots. Getting into the main books, we'll start off with LZ and his reread, Annihilation, Nova #3 from Abnett and Lanning and Kev Walker. And tell us what
Yes. All right, so the last issue, Nova, Drax, and Cammy were trying to get off of Xandar from being after it had been destroyed, and they got into the ship. Nova used his powers to open this like wormhole, and they almost crash landed on this planet, but Quasar caught them. So this issue opens up, and it's all about like Quasar coming and kind of joining the team a little bit. Him and Drax do not get along. Drax has a reputation throughout the galaxy. You know, he's Drax the Destroyer. So Quasar is like, I'm not really feeling him right now. But he's like, you know, you guys are on this planet. I forget the name of it. It was called, it's a weird space name. That's not important. The thing is, it's like a refugee place where all of the people who have been ransacked by the Annihilation Wave have pretty much been coming to this planet, and Quasar has been protecting them. And what I really liked about this was while they're trying to get people off the planet, there's a moment where Quasar and Nova have a conversation where they're like, we've got a bunch of like engineers here. They're going to start building stargates so we can start getting people off of this planet and getting people other places. I like that as a plot point, because when you have something on this large of a scale and all these refugees, you know, on a planet, there has to be like enough people who could build something and help everybody out. But while they're having this conversation, Quasar tells them, you know, if you use your powers, we could be done a lot faster, because it's going to take them like about 5 days to make a Stargate. Would it be better if you could make like a big one with your like Nova Force abilities? Before they can even continue on, of course, there ends up being an attack, and Quasar and Nova jump into action. They go into space. Quasar does this really cool thing. He uses his quantum energy and makes this big force field to protect this warship that had landed on there earlier, who was going to be kind of like a backup support for them. He used his powers to protect the ship from all this blast while Nova was attacking the ship and helping everybody out. And he finally opened a big wormhole for everybody to kind of escape and get through. Then they're like, all right, well, let's just like get rid of this enemy for a second. Of course, because Nova used this big burst and opened up this wormhole, Annihilus, it picked up on his scanners, and he's like, what is this over there? Let's just do a warp jump. I want to go see what's going on, all this energy. And he shows up, and he's about to like destroy everybody. So I'm interested to see. Well, I kind of know what's going to happen on the next issue because I know what happens. But I don't think I actually read this specific issue back when I was first reading Annihilation, because some of this was new to me. I actually really enjoyed Quasar in this. He's my favorite cosmic character. And just seeing him be a hero, it was funny. There was a moment where he introduces himself, and Drax is like, you know, at one point, I used to wear a cape. That does not make you a hero. And Quasar was like, I know, that's why I'm out here protecting these people. That's what does. So I appreciate him kind of bucking back against Drax and his like pessimism. And Quasar just really being a protector of the universe and protecting these people. They initially start with, you know, I have to protect these refugees, while Drax keeps saying, no, we should be preparing to fight, because whatever's out there is going to definitely make its way here. We should be prepared for that. And Quasar's like, well, we still got to protect these people. So they have a little bit of a, you know, some conflict there, while Nova is just around looking stupid because he just...
I was about to say, I thought the miniseries was about Nova. What's he doing the whole time?
Looking dumb, just like afraid to use his abilities. He is like Drax is around to kind of help him a little bit, to kind of like mentor him, but he just is, he's still shook up, I guess, from the Xandar attack. But he did open the wormhole.
He died. That's right.
Yeah, everybody did die.
About like you being sad.
Yeah.
Got it.
The whole planet did die, and all of the Nova Corps are dead except him. He saw it. Remember that lady got her head blown off while he was trying to fly through that debris.
I guess that would make you kind of depressed for a few issues. How long is it supposed to be? 4 issues? 5?
This is 4 issues. Well, this event is like 12 issues long, but we just went through his 4-issue mini.
But he's a part of the entire event, is it?
Yes, basically. I think he follows through everybody's mini. I never read the Star-Lord one, so I don't know if he shows up there, but I think that's next.
Yeah, that's gonna be good. I'm ready. I'm coming back into it with that one for you.
But yeah, I enjoyed this issue. There were some moments where the art looked a little weird. Sometimes their faces looked a little off, where they were trying to like show them straining, using their abilities or something like that. But for the most part, like, it was still pretty good. Very big cosmic stuff. I'm still enjoying the story. I really like Annihilation. It's one of my favorite Marvel events.
Okay. Well, shout out to
I think also one of my favorite like tropes. I love a
planet being destroyed.
Yes. And I love a villain who comes through and just wreck shop and who kind of wins. I like that.
Okay.
Especially one with like a big horde and then kind of
Wipe
destroy everything and wipe everybody out.
Little genocide for breakfast. Okay. Well, moving on. Next we read The Authority #5 from Warren Ellis and Bryan Hitch. And yes, this has been Night of Apollo. I'm excited.
Okay, so this was the, like, I guess, follow-up issue after the wrap-up issue previously from the Gamora Island arc. So like now the heroes are all back in the ship. They actually have this really cool moment where they see on the outside this place called, because their ship, like, to make it seem like it's everywhere all at once, it's always traveling through these different dimensions. And every issue so far, there's always a description of like what dimension they're in this time. And this time they were in the Mind Barrier Reef is what they were flying over. You see all these heads on this barrier reef that look like coral kind of, and it's actually a place where latent telepaths grow their powers like in their sleep. It's like that universe or something. So I thought that was kind of cool looking. But this issue opens up and they're showing this like crazy horned villain who is named Albion, and he is like this crazy guy who's gonna kill everybody. So we see that he is nobody to be played with. He smashed some man's head in, and then we travel to the Authority. And of course, I don't know what Warren Ellis has against LA, but a portal opens in LA again, and like a big invasion force comes through, and it looked like the Captain Britain Corps. It's a bunch of like British looking knights in ships and stuff.
It's iconic.
So they come through. There's also these like alien warships, and they're like wreaking havoc on LA. The Authority has to jump into action. Of course, Apollo comes through. He's just like wrecking ships. I have to say, he's top 2 now. Him and John. There we go.
Wow, that's kind of that's kind of a far jump.
He was always,
and that's like a high marker. Top 2, Apollo.
Yeah, Apollo's dope. He was always like in my top 5, but I really like enjoy his character. He's it. And he was showing his ass in this, and I liked it a lot. He was truly like destroying all these ships and just really being like a really great hero. That's kind of where the issue ends. It was kind of a quick read, and it shows that they were being invaded by from another Earth. Jenny Sparks kind of understood. She kind of remembered these people. She's from the 13th century, so she's kind of always been around. She probably knows who these people are. The British are coming, so something like that. So we'll see where this goes. I really enjoyed the issue. I like the art. Apollo that's king.
He's good.
So
him and Midnight.
I really liked it again.
Story in the DC Pride special this week too.
Yeah, they're great.
They're annual.
I would rate this issue a 4 out of 5.
Okay. Period.
Yeah, it really set up like the next arc. I guess we went straight into the action of it all. We got introduced to the villain, and we'll go from there. So
And one thing
it's
I
really showing them being a superhero team too.
Ellis is one of my favorite comic book writers. He does the hell out of some action scenes. He will write those down.
Yes, there was a scene in this where Apollo is wrecking shop, and Midnighter can't fly, but this other girl Swift can. She's carrying them, and she's like watching Apollo and freaking out, like, "Oh my God, Apollo just like killed all these people." And you see Midnighter is smiling the whole time. he was like the look on Midnighter's face there, like, my man, my man, my man, because Apollo is truly killing these people.
So he liked that really well. So like I know that was the truth. So yeah, I'm liking that. Okay, I might actually type back into
hop in. Y'all gotta hop in. Authority is high.
It's taking me back. And let me see if I feel the same way about this Hitch art that you're talking about. You're not minding that much.
Yeah, it's looking like not too bad back in the day. So check it out, y'all.
We'll see. Okay, and jumping back to the present, getting to our main book of the week, we have Betsy Braddock Captain Britain number 4 by Tini Howard and Vasco Georgiev. And here we are.
Almost coming to the end.
Yeah, almost at the end. We have one more issue. But let me tell you something. Before I even get into like the issue itself, LZ, you've known me for a very long time. You've known me like that. I'm a Betsy fan. People who are listening, you probably know that I'm a Betsy fan. You know, this book has given me everything I've ever wanted. Like,
wow,
thing that I have ever talked about. Like, I see Betsy doing this as like this hero, like having her own little team of spies, saving mutants, saving the day, talking about being a model, going out, being famous, getting chased by the paparazzi. All that's happening in this series. And as we get to the end, I just kind of start thinking about like, oh, so what's she going to do now?
Like, she's done it all now.
Like, oh, I got what I wanted. Now what? So that was a very interesting thing. But this issue, so I will say, out of all 4 issues so far, this one has probably been my least favorite. I think that the series is ending, and so there were talks that there were plans for this to continue, and they didn't anticipate it always being a 5-issue miniseries. And of course, like if sales did enough, then they were going to continue it on, and it didn't get that, so it's going to be set 5 issues. And you can tell that like this is kind of written with the intention that they wanted to have more than 5, but since you knew you weren't getting 5, you kind of got to speed everything along. So the pacing can feel a little bit disjointed at times, and I had to read it like once or twice just to make sure I understood what was going on. But once we get to it all, Betsy is meeting with Tony Stark in Jersey. She's basically like, hey, I need you, the Avengers, to come out and be bait for me. The Furies have partnered with Morgan Le Fay, and they are attacking superhumans across the UK. They've already attacked my brother. They're coming after other people next. I need you guys to be bait so we can like pull them out and do it and take them down. He's like, cool. Rachel is getting into her whole Ascani timeline, witch, psychic thing she's got going on, multiverse, whatever she does. She's like talking to some people, and she's in the library talking to the librarian. So you can
of course she's in a library.
I would say I think that Tini is like having a lot of fun. I'll always give Tini one thing is like she likes to build a world. She knows how to write something. She can do some lore. She can put that in there. So I think that Ascani stuff is going to be really nice for Rachel. I'm kind of sad. I'm not going to say sad that I'm going to miss it, but I'm kind of sad that like fans of Rachel won't get a little bit more of that because it was coming more into play here. And I think it gives Rachel something to do. Rachel is one of those characters who whenever I talk to people about her, all they ever say is she was great in Excalibur in the 80s. And if that's all you got, I don't think that's that good, because if your last good storyline or the last, if everybody's consensus and that's your best time was in the 80s when you first debuted, like something's got to change. You ain't been doing enough, and so I think that this is something that gives
people can catch it.
This is something that gives Rachel a unique storyline to like hone in on and like really make her stand out for the pack and like kind of legitimize her and give her a little bit of a personality along with it. And I think that's something that was needed. But you know, they're all in the house getting ready for a big charity event that the Braddocks are throwing in Betsy's honor. We get a little bit of the family getting together, like Betsy's coming in from meeting with Tony. Bryan's like, hurry up, the helicopter's here, we need to get out. She's like, her and Rachel being like fun and flirty, so they decide they're gonna have a little quickie before they leave. They get to the party, the paparazzi's on there, they're talking to the Braddocks. Megan, we thought you were pregnant. She's like, why would you think that? They call Betsy, she's like, I'm Captain.
I thought she was.
Who said that?
She looked a little pregnant. She was acting like it.
Because she didn't want to drink?
Yeah.
Some people just don't want to drink. I don't know what
Didn't Nightcrawler say like, oh, you can't drink because there's something else going on in here? And then he left?
She wasn't drinking, so he was drunk and just assumed that because she wasn't drinking, she was pregnant.
Oh. That's fair. We shouldn't be policing women's bodies.
There you go, and that's it. Now we've said it. But the tea is, she said, I don't know where y'all heard that she's not pregnant. She comes in, she's like, you know, I'm Captain Britain. They're like, who are you with? She's like, this is my girlfriend, Rachel Summers. They go inside. People are coming up to Betsy. They're like, want her autograph. They want to take pictures with her. They're like, you know, I still got your magazine spread from when you were named Britain's most beautiful woman. It's hot. Rachel's like, this is life, you deserve it. Betsy's like, we having fun, let's go kick some ass. They like down some champagne, change into their clothes, and they go out to fight the Fury with the Avengers. Because again, she asked Tony to be the bait. So we get this cool like little page of like all the Avengers attacking the Fury with Betsy, and then they take it down. There's also a data page that comes in before that. Betsy's done a new magazine interview, and they have like 11 questions with Captain Britain. That was a really cute. These are the type of data pages I like a cute use of them, like something fun. And they used the David Nakayama cover that he did of her for the 2021 Hellfire Gala. It's like
cute. I like that costume.
Yeah, I was like, that was a cute little thing that they did there. After the teams have defeated the Fury, the Avengers leave, Jamie pops back up. He has created like a pocket dimension where they're keeping the Furies in with his abilities. And he also has Morgan's castle. Morgan the Face castle, he puts it back up, and who walks out but Morgan and Doom? They're back in a relationship. Morgan's like, I'm here. Doom is like, if anybody tries to come mess with her, you're doing war with Latveria. He was like, so leave her alone. Betsy's pissed.
That's his girl.
Betsy's pissed. She grabs Jamie. They all fly off. We get back to the Braddocks. They're kind of going over him. They're like, you know, Morgan is this woman who has been using mutants as a component of her spell. She is trying to throw Britain back into chaos. Why would you do this? Jamie's reasoning, this is one of the issues where I also said I felt like it was kind of like running through the plot, because he says like, oh, he feels bad about how he let Morgan get, what's the word? Experimented on by Apocalypse after they overthrew. And so, but it's also like, why would you feel bad about that? When have you like talked to Morgan? When have you had a conversation? When has anything like, and Jamie is the type of character where he's like chaos personified. So you can maybe like make the argument that something just snapped or switched with him. And he was like, oh, I do feel bad. Like, let me do something about this. But again, that's something that I think I would have liked to see, like some type of conversation of Jamie like approaching Morgan, or Morgan even approaching Jamie, because maybe she came up to him and she played into his heartstrings and was like, oh, this is why you need to do this for me. But nonetheless, it happened. We're where we're at. They start talking about it all together. They're like, you know, Betsy's like, we need to, if we can't get Morgan out, we just need to protect people from her. Strike comes in. They talk about how Betsy used to be a spy. We're going to see what happens. They have a plan to infiltrate Morgan, and then the issue ends with Bryan dressed in his Captain Avalon suit in the pocket dimension, looking like he's about to kill the Fury.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm interested to see. We got a lot of things to kind of wrap up and get through with in the final issue, and I'm like wondering how it's going to happen. Again, this was something that we saw a little bit with Knights of X. That was 5 issues, and we kind of like ran through the plot in the last 4. on the fourth issue of that before we got to the end and kind of just like wrap things up neatly. So I'm wondering if it's going to be a similar thing here, because obviously you got like the situation with Morgan, you got like some Rachel Ascani stuff, you have like Bryan and the Fury, you have her relationship with the public, you have the mutants who are in like Morgan has kidnapped, you still got like some Covenant Kava stuff in the background, you just have like Betsy. I think that again, Team Out dialogue can be a little bit heavy-handed, but like if I feel like if you're still reading by now, you should be used to it, and you should just kind of accept that this is how she writes, and that's just what it is. But again, her Betsy is like in a much different place than when she started. You can always tell that Tini was trying to like do this story of like rebuilding Betsy from the ground up. She had went through this change. She was back in herself. She was kind of broken. She was kind of distant. She didn't know who she was, and now here she is. She's in this space. She's happy again. She's confident again. She's feeling sexy. She's doing what she needs to do. She's doing the job right. People like her. She doesn't need to keep saying it every 5 issues. I think that is like breaking my nerves so much. And that if anything, that'll be the only reason why I'll kind of be excited when it's done, is because it's like I don't got to see her say this every time. But again, like even the stuff with her and Rachel, I like Rachel and Betsy, and I've liked them for a while. I think I've said that too. I remember in the beginning, again, it's Rachel. I think everyone has an adverse reaction to Rachel. I don't care what you say or how much you liked her as Phoenix in the 80s and Excalibur. Now it's kind of like you see Rachel on the page and you be like, So when she was first coming around, it was like, But Betsy and Rachel, I think they're actually really cute together. They work. I do think that they need to kind of like artists should remember certain things like height. Rachel should be shorter than Betsy. She's 5'7". Betsy's like 5'11". I think a lot of people like draw her like very statuesque and tall. And I don't know, that feels a little stereotypical, like just because she's the more masculine one, she also got to be like big and tall. Let her be the pocket type that she wants to be,
Yes, we be out here.
So I think that would be something that's nice. But like them going into battles together, they doing like their little transformations. People were like posting panels on Twitter of like the two lesbian Sailor Scouts, Sailor Neptune, Sailor Uranus, and like
my girl Sailor Neptune is my favorite.
Yeah, so it was like these are the vibes they should be giving, and I was like, just
say feel that.
This is what we get. This is you see it. So
except Uranus is taller than Neptune.
Yeah, then switch that. But like other than that, yeah, like outside of those issues, I think the book itself is really fun. Like I said, I'm kind of getting everything I want. Like I've always said, I just wanted to see Betsy like being chased by the paparazzi, and like people come up to her and be like, "Oh, you famous?" And like, look at them.
And now you got it.
Now I got it. And so no matter how it ends, I'm pretty sure I'll like reflect on Tini's run as a whole when we get to the final issue and just like how it stands and everything like that. It was wobbly, we know that, but we here, and I'm glad she's ending it off where she's ending it. I would give this a 3 out of 5 solid. The art I think also improved. Again, this is Vasco's like first, well not his first, but like one of his first big Marvel. I think this is his first Marvel gig, but like one of his first few jobs in general. And you can tell like over the issues he's improving in certain spaces. Obviously his work is going to have like its rough areas every now and again, but he's getting there. And I think like in a few years he's going to be like really, really good.
That's dope. Do you expect this to kind of have a open-ended ending or like a definitive, this is what Betsy's going to be doing next? And by open-ended, I mean, how sometimes a 5-issue miniseries might end with the hero and their friend saying, there's almost time for one more adventure, and then you see them jump off into the sunset? Or will it say, this is what I'm going to be doing next?
It's interesting. I honestly don't know. I think that this run, I think this issue was kind of given hints. Of course, they said they wanted this to continue. They make a really big like deal to remind the readers that Betsy was a spy in like one of the panels, where she's like getting strike and they're talking about infiltrating Morgan's castle. Bryan is talking to Maggie, and she's like, "Is it true?" And Bryan's like, "Yeah, before your aunt was a knight or a lady with the sword, she was a spy." So I feel like that was kind of a hint that they were going to take the Captain Britain route, more like spy stuff. And so we'll see if like we'll see if that was the case, and they'll kind of, again, like I said, they're supposed to be infiltrating Morgan's castle next issue, so we're still going to see it a little bit. But I wonder if that was kind of going to like take over more full force, and if we'll end up with that still, so somebody else can pick it up later, or if the ending has changed around a bit and they're just going to like kind of like cap it off, so the next time Betsy does appear, somebody can do whatever they want.
Okay. I'll definitely be paying attention next month to that next issue to see how it all kind of comes together.
I'm interested. I'm like really intrigued to see like what happens and what ends. Again, like I said, I think Betsy's one of those characters. She's been around for like decades now. She's been a part of the X-Men. She has been on X-Force. She has been like exiled. She has like been in X Club. She's done the bad girl thing. She's been a ninja. She did like pink suits. She has done a lot. This I think was the big capsizing moment with Excalibur and Knights of X. She did the big Otherworld War. I think here you're getting like again like general superheroics of like just the captain in her day-to life of mutants and like being a mutant Captain Britain and what that means. So what comes after that, you know? We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We will see.
I don't know. But all right, those are the books of the week. Let's go ahead, take a break, and then we'll come on back.
Let's do it. All right, y'all. Welcome back to the watch section of the show. And this week we watched episodes 6 and 7 of the Justice League, and they were more Aquaman-centric episodes, which is interesting considering that he like isn't a team member.
I know,
but he got like.
I was thinking that too. I was like, why is he getting the episodes to himself? What happened?
Yeah.
we want to let y'all know he's here.
I mean,
iconic.
They did. That's for sure. They wanted to let everybody know that he's like just a Justice League.
They know him.
Staple, I guess. Yeah. I mean, do you prefer him to be on the team, or do you prefer him to be like in this capacity where he's like auxiliary to the team?
I don't mind either one. I think when he's on the team, it's cool. It's fine.
Ancillary. Ancillary.
Like, wait. Oh no, it's like either one is fine. I think like him on the team is cool. I don't think a lot of times when he's on the league they like really hone into too many of his relationships. It's happened more in recent years, but like I remember in the past Arthur wasn't super close with anybody. He doesn't get along with Superman though. That's like pretty consistent across the board. But like over the years, they lean more into his relationships with like Bruce and especially Diana, and those tend to be really good. But if he's just off doing his King thing and he pop up every now and again, I'm cool with that too.
Okay. I always want to do Aquaman fans like want him to be like a staple Justice League member. Or do they just say, hey, he could pop up when they, go swimming, but other than that, he doesn't.
I think a lot of them like the acknowledgement, but understand that because of his responsibilities, he's probably not always going to be on the team. So he like might send in a proxy or something. I know a lot of people actually want Mara on the Justice League.
Oh.
Yeah, they're like, well, if Arthur's gonna go be King of Atlantis, then Mara should go and be like the Justice League liaison.
Or what about Jackson being Aquaman of the Justice League instead of?
That would be cool too, but I'm not with any of the characters who are currently on the league. Like, I think if Jackson was on the league, I wouldn't want him with like the other quote unquote big seven. I would want something like how they did with that run when it was like Vixen, Red Arrow, Red Tornado, Black Canary, Black Canary.
You want like a completely different Justice League team, not just a new iteration of the Big Seven.
Exactly.
Where he's the Aquaman, probably Yara's the Wonder Woman or something like that. You want like a new
team. I want his league to be
different. That's fair. Well, okay, these episodes were written by Kevin Hopps and directed by Dan Riva, and they came out in December of 2001. Now, it opens with a nuclear submarine was attacked in the Atlantic, and the Justice League ended up going down to like go and help the people down there because there was an attack by Aqua people. So they answered a distress call, and the Justice League go down and help. They end up getting attacked. Of course, the Justice League kind of wreck shop, and then they end up having to come to Aquaman, have a conversation about like what's going on. I really did like where they try to clear everything up. The Green Lantern takes all of the not refugees. They were like the Marines, carries them out of the ocean, And before they leave, Aquaman and Superman have a conversation, and Superman is like, you could come to the embassy, have some conversations with some people. And Aquaman's like, I'm not gonna bow like some beggar. And Superman said, no, stand before them like a king. So yeah, that's right. You better clock him. Tell him like to stand up. Okay. Clark. Okay. And then sure enough, Aquaman comes down to the US Embassy, doesn't like set up any meetings, just walks straight there and demands to be heard and seen. And they have this conversation. And before they can even get done, he decides, I don't even want to be here. I don't want to have this conversation anymore.
Because he like what you needed to do.
He pushed Wonder Woman out the way when he was trying to leave, which I was like,
he didn't move.
I was like, whoa.
That was funny to me. I'm not gonna lie to you. When he shot her out, and then John was like, oh.
John was like, whoa. It was wild. I did like that they still give these characters like character and really have them interacting with each other. Again, this is what I'm missing from the teen books, the character interactions there. So then I guess he leaves the embassy after he shoved Wonder Woman out of the way. Deadshot, I guess, attacks him, like shoots him with a missile that ends up like hitting him. He ends up having to go to like a hospital and getting help.
What was actually that part hasn't happened yet. No, go ahead, continue.
So Orm discovers that Aquaman had been hurt and decides that like, I'm going to be like the new king in his absence. I have to say, is this like Aquaman's status quo? Somebody always coming for him. It's usually always his brother.
Yeah, like literally, whenever he's king, it's just people being like, no, you should. That's all, like literally all. And so I would say like that's one of the things that I'm kind of glad they moved away from in his recent stories. I think Dan Abnett during his run like really put the kibosh on that, because again, it's typically Orm. Arthur is like there, and they're kind of challenge each other for the kingdom. But then when Abnett came in, he obviously had Orm still kind of do it, but then he also had like the people of Atlantis. Like I always credit Abnett for really building out Atlantis' undersea world and like a cabinet. He had like their person who was in charge of like the war creatures, the commanders in chiefs, the science people, and a lot of that. And he dealt with like Aquaman was bringing in a lot of progressive ideals. He wanted them to be more bonded with the surface people. He had created an embassy where they could kind of visit and try Atlantean foods. He was trying to build that bridge, and those people were like, oh, absolutely not. So they would challenge him to be like, well, you shouldn't even be king, and then doing all that. And then that made it worse, and then he comes back. Then Mara gets the throne because they're like, well, let's have a queen instead. But Kelly Sue kind of came on, and they kind of had them both just be like, we don't even want to do this for real. They've always said they didn't want to do it. They just do it.
I mean, that's kind of the vibe I always got from, especially from Arthur. It was like, I don't really want to do this for real. But
they've always given like, I don't really want to do this, and so like it's kind of been kibosh. Now that they've got Andy and Jackson's Aquaman, it's giving them more opportunity to do other stuff as opposed to that.
Okay, I always just wondered if that was just his thing, and like, what does he want to do? But we later see that the Justice League goes off. They're trying to figure out who attacked Aquaman. Aquaman gets out of his tank. He's ready to go. John is there watching him like, no, I'm just here to keep you. What did he do? Sucker punch him in the face. It wasn't
right in front of his. He was standing.
It was a sneak shot. Okay, it's like they were having a conversation,
and John was like, "Not moving."
No, I'm not moving because I'm gonna keep you here, and he punched him.
Okay,
we're not even supposed to be fighting. Like, whoa,
what else was there?
That's not fighting words.
It's
nasty.
You told me you weren't gonna move. Okay.
So that means go sit your ass down. You're not gonna move.
No, it means I'm gonna make sure you move.
I didn't appreciate that. Especially with earlier, John had already kind of like wasn't really feeling Aquaman because
he was so mad talking about that Atlanteans are keeping the plutonium. John, you in the military, you a cop for space. You know exactly how this works. We're not just giving this stuff.
He's a firefighter. He's a Jedi. And he's a Marine. You're supposed to be doing the right thing. Of course, he goes down and checks the ship. for the plutonium is gone.
That was Arthur's
Who's
fault.
still but at the Atlanteans, exactly. The king one. Why doesn't he have his people under control?
Why do y'all even have nuclear weapons?
That's not important.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean? Go ahead.
That's not important.
Talking about this story.
Sometimes war is necessary. Anyway, Aquaman is going back to Atlantis to kind of figure out what's going on. He gets back to the throne. I could forget this episode hadn't ended yet. So he gets back to the throne and he challenges Orm, except all of the people end up siding with Aquaman instead of Orm. I think this was the end of episode 6 before the next one kind of started.
About this episode, I thought it was so interesting, like when they were trying to draw out who shot Aquaman and they were like all chasing Deadshot through the sewers, that Superman, Wonder Woman, nor Martian Manhunter could stop him. But who got him off that bike? Batman.
King Bat.
And like as I was watching it, I was just like, what is happening? I was like, why is Deadshot beating up Wonder Woman right now and like getting away? Why is like Superman flying to catch Deadshot and not catching him in seconds? But I was like, I get it. Everybody got hit at moment. But then I was like, oh, Batman takes him down. And I was like, that makes more sense. Got it.
Well, yeah, Batman gonna be the one to take him down. And sometimes you have to show that even the superpowered aren't always going to get it right all the time and win, Otherwise,
clearly,
do we really need anybody else if Superman is there?
Because Wonder Woman was going down bad.
She was. I think they ended up talking about this in this season of the show, either this season or the next one, where they have a moment where Superman says, "I don't really need none of y'all." Well, I'm sure we'll get there eventually. Anyway, the next episode opens with Orm kind of talking about like, I'm taking over. Aquaman is being like taken away. Orm ultimately ends up taking Aquaman and chaining him to an active volcano, him and his baby. And I was like, he hates you. Like, this is a kind of rivalry where like, I don't think you can ever really come back from, right? Like, this isn't some like, oh, we just kind of see each other, maybe we can make up. This isn't Rogue and Carol. This is like, this is worse than that.
But the Orm killing the baby thing was like for this cartoon. That's not how it happened in the comics. Black Manta killed the baby. But
you wonder why they changed it here.
Orm and Arthur's relationship is mostly dependent on, again, them being like half brothers and both being heirs to this throne, and like one just wanting it more than the other. And Orm plays a lot of political games. That also was something that kind of got toned down. They actually ended up having Orm get exiled from Atlantis, and he like found some girlfriend on land, and he was like dating her and helping her raise her son, and he became like a family man. And then when Mara took the
he's not a stepdad. He's a dad that stepped up.
He was the dad that stepped up. And when Mara got the throne, he was like, oh no. He gave it all up and tried to come fight her.
Oh, never mind.
He was like, oh, absolutely not. And he could try to like come back and fight her. That's what her miniseries is about. But then she ended up like beating him at battle, and she was just like, you're not getting the throne back. Go be with the family, like go grow. And so that's kind of where he's been since then.
Interesting. I've always wondered what would happen with them there. Maybe they did this here instead of with Black Manta, just to give Aquaman something of a reason to like get his hand off, because I think they really wanted to have, back then anyway, hook Aquaman.
David, I think we were talking about Peter David last week when I was talking about the Dazzler and Shadow Star stuff. Peter David was the enemy because Hook and Aquaman is all because of him. During the 90s, he did this Aquaman series Time and Tide, and like a lot of people would tell you that is like the elite Aquaman story.
No, it's that story.
If that's what you want to read, like but it's like honestly one of the worst things in the world. He completely creates Arthur to be a Namor clone. He's like mean, he's nasty, he's got this big giant pirate hook hand running around. He's like has all this complicated stuff. I will always say Jeff Johns might be a nasty man nowadays, but I will always credit him for really legitimizing like Aquaman and who Arthur is. Didn't like have to grunge him up or make him like super cool or like super mean and all this stuff. It was like, no, Arthur is just some normal guy. He's from Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Like his dad lived, like his dad is a lighthouse keeper. Like, what are you talking about? He lives in a small town, you know what I'm saying? So he got over that and was like, this is who he is. And then every writer who came after that really like honed into it. Jeff Parker showed a lot of the life that he lived at home and like showed him in high school at a high school reunion and stuff like that, the people in the town he met. Dan Abnett was the one who built out the Atlantis stuff and was like, okay, well, this is how he acclimates into that, because of course he always knew Atlantis was a thing. He just wasn't a part of it. And it's like, this is how he's coming into it now. Kelly Sue was kind of like, okay, he did it. He hated it. Now he was sitting up with his wife, and like they're having a good time, and they finally had their baby again. And then Brandon Thomas came in and was like, okay, they're retiring and raising their kids. Here's Jackson to be Aquaman.
Damn. Okay. That's a storyline. It's really like progressed.
And that's what I've always said. None of these writers, at least when I would go back and read interviews, none of them ever said that they had talked to the writer before their run and like was like, oh, what you doing? They all just kind of like picked up something and just ran with it. But the way the story naturally progresses and does it really well, it's fantastic. The only Skip Cullen, if you ever go back and read, like,
that was a dark era.
That was the dark era. That was the one like kind of mishap that they had. But other than that, like,
I didn't like that costume. I really didn't like that costume.
But like that whole initiative of like what DC was doing for their books at the time and like what people with like it was all just really messy and like really bad. So like we just skip over that altogether. But like everybody else, again, like Parker, Abnett, Kelly Sue, Thomas. Am I forgetting someone? I don't think I know because
that Jeff Johns run got me into Aquaman.
And John starts it. I always tell modern day readers, like, if you're gonna read anything from Aquaman, you should probably start with like not Peter D. Oh my God. You start with Jeff Johns stuff and go from there. I always do also tell people to go back though and read the Sub Diego arc that came out in the early 2000s, because that was the storyline where San Diego like sunk into the bottom of the ocean. These people had all been infected with Aquaman's DNA, so a bunch of them survived, and he had been like kicked out of Atlantis, so he kind of like took over this Sub Diego as his new area, and that's where we met Lorena, Aquagirl, and like she's one of the great characters of Aquaman lore. A lot of people love her. That's probably like the only brightest day thing that I would say is like a must read. There are some other good things in there, I'm not gonna lie, but like that's one of the things that I say, like, if you want a major story arc, that's one of the ones.
Is Aquagirl back?
Yes, well, kind of, sorta. So so during Brandis Thomas's Aquaman run, she's mentioned, like, there's a scene where one of the guys who lives in Atlantis, he's talking to his son, Aquaman. This is when the death of the Justice League happened. So like one of the kids is looking and he finds out that Aquaman is dead, and he's like, who protects us now? He's like, we still got Mara, we still have Jackson, we still have like Black Lanterns on our side now. We have Garth, we have Tula, and we have Lorena Marquez. And so,
so she exists.
So she exists, but we've never seen her. And then Brandon Thomas, he did this one like backup story, and Aquaman basically saw like what the future would look like, and it had like all the Aquaman characters, and Lorena was there with them. So that was like the last time we actually like saw her on the panel. But he would like, it ends it off. He's like, oh, that was a dream. It hasn't happened yet, but it's gonna happen. So she's made her little pops. She's around. I really want her to pop up.
Okay.
Her and Jackson.
Okay.
They're the team.
Oh, that's his Aquagirl. I wonder where they're gonna pop them back up. New Aquaman series?
There have been some rumblings going around. The Titan series just started that Tom Taylor is writing, and Garth isn't on that team, but he appeared in the first issue, and he said that he was like working on something with somebody else and doing some stuff for the ocean. So people have been speculating that something Aquaman related should be coming up soon. I don't know. We'll see. I hope that whatever they do really keep the focus. Again, this whole thing with Arthur has been how he kind of is. He's grown. He's settling out of it. Where I think that's something they've done with a lot of. Now I'm gonna say with a lot of the big seven, but like Superman's another one who I think has been kind of getting that role. Like, he's older. This is my next generation. They're taking over. This is what they do. So I hope they kind of continue that with Arthur and like really hone in on the family, because again, DC is all about the families.
Yes, Superman is in his dad era right now, so Aquaman probably should be too.
He's a literal dad. He's got a daughter.
He does. Yes, Andy. Wait, let me go ahead. But anyway, back to the episode. So Orm came back. Aquaman breaks out because he chopped his own hand off because he wanted to save him and his baby. And he comes in, tries to fight Orm. They're going to set off their machine. And I have to say, I would like to come for a lot of my faves that can make force fields and say, well, why come whenever somebody tried to attack them and they were distracted, they didn't have a force field around themselves too? Boom. What do we see John do? John put a force field around Batman while he was in there tinkering, trying to stop the machine. And Orm used the trident on him, and what happened? Force field blocked it. So I would like you to at least acknowledge that some of them do what they need to do out on the field.
I don't dislike force field powers. I like them. I think they're very handy. I just think a lot of the characters who get force field powers don't use them in useful ways.
That's fair. I feel like a lot of writers don't really like force fields that often, but whatever, we'll get there. I did find it interesting that when Orm and Aquaman were fighting, Aquaman just let him die. And he was losing that fight. And when Orm finally was hanging off that cliff, it's always, oh, please, brother, help me. Even though, like, you were going to tie me to this lava, this active volcano. You were going to kill my baby. But now that you're about to die, it's, oh, my God, please, brother, help me.
When I was gone, you was doing all this. But when I come around, now you want to post up. What's up? You quiet.
What's up?
Now you need my help.
Classic.
That's Orm. And like again, like when I was watching these two episodes, I ended up going back to read like some old Aquaman comics, specifically with Orm, and I was just like, Orm was just a nasty man. There's this one issue during that Sub Diego time period where Orm uses a magic spell to like switch lives with Arthur. So Arthur is the Ocean Master and Orm is Aquaman. And it was just like, why would you do that?
Do you like sibling rivalries like this?
I do.
Or do you think the rivalries, do they not need to be siblings?
Well, kind of, sort of. I like that it happens, but I also like when they still kind of acknowledge that, like, you are my sibling and we might be beefing, but like nobody else can still mess with you.
Yes.
And that's what I appreciate. When they are siblings and they just like hate each other completely, I'm like, oh, well, that's kind of sad. But like, if it's siblings, I always think of they're not siblings, but I always think of like the Mystique Rogue dynamic. And during the Carey era for Blinded by the Light, when the Marauders were fighting the X-Men and Scout, what's that man's name? The one that dates the ninja girl, Grey Crow. About to shoot Rogue. And Mystique was like, no, not my daughter. You don't kill her. Only I get to do that.
Yes.
Like, that's the kind of thing. Like, nobody else, if anybody's going to kill my brother, it's going to be me. You are not going to touch him. Okay? And that's that.
Yes. Yes. I appreciate those relationships at least. Are Aquaman and Orm like that?
Kind of, sort of. It kind of depends on like what Orm has done.
Okay.
Sometimes Arthur's like, just let it be. Sometimes Arthur's like, yeah, I don't know.
Like I said, we said at the end of this episode, he just let him die.
So we'll see. You know, one thing that was funny to me about this episode is like, I know they've been kind of like switching up which league members are in which episodes, but I specifically remember watching thinking, where are Hawkgirl and Flash? Why aren't they in this episode? And then when the league got out of the ship to go and fight the Atlanteans in the water, I was like, oh, this is why Hawkgirl and Flash couldn't be in this episode. I was like, imagine Hawkgirl in this water getting her wings wet. What's she gonna do?
What is she gonna do?
And then I was like, what's Flash? I was like, Flash,
she's already useless. You're gonna make it worse by putting her in water?
Don't go that far. Her mace is good on land.
Exactly. We gotta find a use for her.
You know, when she can play whack-a-mole, it does what it needs. And I was like, oh, Flash can't like run in the water. I was like, and he can't. I was like, you know, again, Superman can probably hold his breath forever. Diana is probably got some apparatus. John's got his force field. He can't breathe underwater.
Honestly, though, if we really want to talk about it, I really appreciated that Superman isn't breathing underwater, and also like that he can breathe in space. I don't think they should be able to do that. Also, they probably only had enough masks for three people. They don't make a lot of money, so everybody can't come.
They don't. Well, no, Bruce probably could have brought some more. They spend all his money.
He the one. That's the guy he got. Like, this is as much as he bought. He could afford 4. And that's Bruce.
Yeah, that is Bruce. But oh no, yeah, I thought that was good. I also thought like the scene with Orm like trying to drown them was really funny, and they were like trying to get out, he could not.
Yes, this has some really great stuff. I liked when they were able to kind of go to a different like territory, you know, going underwater and stuff, and it does kind of show you that Aquaman is really in his own corner. I think he should still kind of play nice with the Justice League. I don't think they should ever be kind of enemies. He should only be beefing with members of the league, not ever really with the team, if that makes sense.
I typically enjoy like when we kind of get those League versus Atlantis stories because again, like, and it's so interesting because I think there's so much more well done than like when they try and do League versus Themyscira stories, Paradise Island, and like have the Amazon attack. Like that never seems to make sense with me. But like Atlantis is its own nation. Like it has its own people. It is a thing. It's completely different. So like I kind of like when he gets to play that. Again, he tends to go against Superman a lot of times when that happens. Superman is on the side of the military, and so Arthur's like, yeah, I don't care.
I'm on Clark's side, so
yeah, we've noticed.
I'm just letting y'all know that now.
We've noticed.
Sorry,
because he always loses. So
fry some fish up.
It won't happen. But regardless, but again, these episodes, it made me realize 2 things. One, DC's Atlantis like clears.
Yeah.
The stuff that they've done with it, again, the writers who have come in and added to the world and like really mixed that in, it just eats up everything. And then B, I think I would like a new Aquaman cartoon of some sort.
Okay. I did just have that one that like King of the Seas or something.
Yeah, I was about to say that was like the HBO thing that's supposed to tie into. I like that design though, like the sea green hair and like how he looked in there. Yeah, that was really cool. I actually think I wouldn't be mad if they brought that into the comics. It wouldn't make sense, but I wouldn't be mad. But like, I think that it's something that could really be sustained. I think he has the character, like villains for it. The supporting cast for it. I was thinking about Young Justice and how they did Atlanta stuff in their show, and I was like, I really enjoyed that and how they worked it in. I think this could be something that's sustained. I'm like, yeah, that's what I want now.
Okay, I think he probably would do well with his own kind of series.
Yeah.
More Aquaman stuff. I wonder if he could work in games. Was that too hard to do underwater?
The underwater thing is like even his comics. I'll never forget. There was a writer who did an interview, and he said that when he was doing his Aquaman run, when he started out, like they specifically told him to do Aquaman stories on land because the ones of him underwater don't sell as well.
Yeah, I just wonder if people just not like to be underwater.
I think it like I think the fantasy is a little too like broad for some people. But the thing is, again, like a lot of people don't really read them, so they're just kind of like they're very grounded. It's like
they just underwater.
But it's like with intrigue and stuff that a lot of people like. It's cool. I always recommend it. If you got DC Infinite, go check out a couple of runs.
Well, I really enjoyed these episodes. I mean, we don't really need to rate these. I just will say that I really liked the next episodes are really fun. That's a Justice League versus Injustice League episodes, so that'll be great. Make sure you guys watch that. It's episodes 8 and 9. But this show is like, it's kind of iconic. Top 5 superhero shows.
It's age one. I was watching it and I was like, the fight scenes look good. I was like, the voice still holds up. The animation looks good. I was just like, yeah, this again, like I immediately went back and started reading Aquaman comics.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the same thing last week after the John-centric episodes. Like, oh yeah, I need to clock back in because again, it's just really well done and makes you remember just how great these characters are. It always is nice when we have great adaptations, you know? Compared to the mid ones.
It don't happen all the time.
It does not. All right, y'all. Well, then that brings us to the end of the episode. Please make sure you guys rate and subscribe us wherever you get your podcasts. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at Another Relaunch. You can email us at anotherrelaunch@gmail.com. You can find us on YouTube at Another Relaunch at TV. You can find me on most social media platforms at UncannyLZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
As always, you know, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keenan Lance. There's an underscore at the end.
Cool. All right, y'all. Let's get up out of here and we'll catch you next week.
Peace.
Bye.